anything else. It must be a missing document. I would want that document, those documents of travel tabled here. And you need to have, if you are a civil servant, a letter of clearance. If he actually had those, all, I'd be surprised that he was stopped.
Ni sheria gani hii ambayo imeanza sasa? Mimi sija kuwa naibu wa rais jana ama juzi. Nimekuwa naibu wa rais kwa miaka 9. Kama hakuja kuwa, na nimetembea Uganda, nimetembea Rwanda, nimetembea DRC, nimetembea dunia hii, kwa shughuli ya serikali na shughuli ya kibinafsi. Sijawahi kuulizwa na mtu yeyote eti nahitaji kibali kutoka mahala popote.
Well, it is his word against the regulations. That's all I can say. The regulations require that every civil servant will have a clearance, and every traveler will have the other things if they are not civil servants.
Well, the Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho, Daktari, as well as Dr. William Ruto, the Deputy President, of course, they're talking about the same topic at different times, different offices. And Honorable Mauka Maure, there's that feeling that there is a deliberate desire by your side of politics to frustrate the Deputy President. We'll be listening to him later on what he has been saying, but why would a Deputy President who says that over the years has never been required to produce that clearance, is it a certificate or a document to travel, why is it being required now, if you know?
I think historically you have a relationship between the president and deputy president which was quite strong at the beginning. And for that reason, maybe most of those public servants did overlook during the protocol processing the requirements for clearance. But it is there. The regulations are that once you are traveling beyond a certain category of public servants, you need to present a clearance at the airport. Now, when you come specifically to this relationship between the deputy president and the president, you have actually a fallout. And in the process of fallout, you have kind of somebody who wants to succeed you in a very impolite manner. I think let me use that word. And it started not just 3 years ago or 5 years ago, quite some time, whereby he went around his own top government officials and operators and planted his men and ran the government together like a co-president. And that way he doesn't even remember whether he ever required any clearance. Now, when that happened, the way you would describe it, if you are a boss, even if he is bedridden on a stroke and he is still having the crown, and you are a servant like the deputy president and the rest of us, when he is there, you respect him. And respecting him doesn't mean disparaging him or mocking him. Like that language, it doesn't sound well. That he has never thought he required it. Lao Tzu.
Are you admitting that this is a scheme?
No, it's not a scheme.
The president in
no, I want to ask you a simple question. A Chinese military strategist, Sun Tzu, when he was writing The Art of War, he said, there are red lines that must never be crossed. There are battles that should never be fought. And also towns that should never be attacked. If you go to the script of this relationship between this boss and this deputy and his boss, he has literally not found any line that is worthy, is sacred. He has never found any battle he didn't want to fight. Because surely there have been battles. You can count them the last 4 years. He has not spared any. And I want to start with a quick one. If you are moving to a re-election of 2017, and you are the deputy, you team up with your boss, you go into a re-election, and then you arrange yourself thereafter. But this one arranged himself in a way that he will take over during, as for the pre-election. During the nomination, he would take over the people who would come to the tour of the parliament, where they will start that choir of 2022 immediately after the elections. And you can see that it happened during the homecoming shows. The 2022 battle began in 2018 in January. So, what the relationship is there?
I had an interview with both of you.
Yes.
Look, you're actually on the same side that time.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the show is online.
Yes.
Ruto Maize, you
Yes.
spoke at length on that.
Yes, yes.
But let me just throw the question to this side. On Honorable Opio Wandai, it appears as if it's a scheme on what's going on. We'll shortly be listening to the Deputy President speaking about a Turkish citizen. Actually, let's listen to him now, as he spoke about this Harun Aydin, who is in police custody, expected to be arraigned today, and the suspicion is that he might have been involved in, is it sponsoring a terror? Listen to the Deputy President.
I am the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. I cannot associate with terrorists. I know what I'm doing. We must support our business people. And I have done my best to look for investment for our country and for our region. You want to destroy our country merely because you're fighting your political wars. Why don't you direct the political wars you have to the right people? Leave our businessmen alone. Leave our entrepreneurs alone. Leave our investors alone. You are destroying our country.
No, I think I can conclude. I can conclude one sentence.
Just follow Honorable More, Opio Wandai. So when you listen to the Deputy President speaking like the way he is, in an administration that he contributed largely in having it elected and even constitution, what do you make of this? At a time that we're just 1 year to the end of
Obviously, from the tone of the Deputy President, I can see he's essentially addressing the President. When he keeps on saying that you should not destroy enterprise, you should not do this, he's addressing the President squarely. Okay? But secondly, personally, I've never served in an executive, but what I know is that it would be inconceivable for a Deputy President to attempt to leave the country or to cross the borders of the country, to venture outside without permission of the President, at least expressly. But again, having seen what transpired at Wilson, at least from the accounts we have been given, it would appear that in this particular instance, either the President wasn't aware that the ex-deputy was traveling outside the country, or if he was aware, the approval had not been sought in a manner that is formal from him. Because again, how would the whole Deputy President drive all the way from his home to the airport without really knowing that wherever he's destined to go to, he has been cleared to go to? But if you look at the past visit that the Deputy President made to Uganda, at least from accounts that have been given, you see, he keeps on referring to these visits as private visits. But then I saw in the media that during his last so-called private visit to Uganda, he was in a presidential function, at least in a function graced by President Museveni in Uganda, launching some project here and there. That cannot in any way be termed as private visit, Sam. That cannot happen. That can only happen if your visit to Uganda had been sanctioned by your boss, who is Museveni's counterpart.
I don't know whether he described that visit.
Yes, he did so.
Museveni as private.
He did so.
I just know based on that
he did so.
Monday.
He did so. But more importantly, now on this question of the Turkish, the Turkish person, you know, this Turkish saga reminds us of the Atur Margarian of the NAC era. If you are of age, some I'm sure you remember. Okay? This idea of foreigners sneaking into Kenya without a clear agenda, or at least an agenda which is known to government, must be understood in the right context. Okay? I am not privy to what the guy came to do or his background, but at least I'm aware that the security agencies are processing him, are dealing with him in the manner that is appropriate. But the deputy president cannot stand there and say that in his capacity as a DP he cannot associate with terrorists. How does he know? How does he know that this is not a terrorist?
All right.
Who has investigated him and acquitted him?
The deputy president sits, or is supposed to sit in the National Security, is it council or committee?
I don't know. Whether he sits there or just to absent himself.
But one would assume that being at his level, he would receive intel. So you're asking how he would know if he's dealing with a terrorist. But Honorable Boss, I remember last week you spoke clearly that when you're seeking clearance, it's clearance not to be prohibited, but just for you to be known where you are. And so the conversation continues. And what do you make of what's going on, investigations of a Turkish citizen at this point in time? And do you think the Deputy President has been transparent as a state officer with his operations, whether it's in private or public?
I think it is impossible for someone to be Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and that his whereabouts and his dealings are not transparent. They are known. He has deployed in his offices, around his person and his home, throughout, security officers from government who report to the IG and NIS. So they do know all his dealings. It's impossible for a Deputy President to be associated with a person who is of suspect character. And that is why certain facts are not coming out into the media. Fact number one, in June 2021, the same security apparatus and Kenyan authorities approved this person as an investor in Kenya. He has been coming in and out of Kenya as an investor. We know that we have what we call InvestTech in Kenya, which is where all investors log in and are processed. That due process was done. Confirmations from the Turkish embassy itself, which has very good relations with Kenya, have also confirmed that this is a person who is known and has no criminal dealings. So the question is, who are the police talking to? You must also remember that Kenya, as far back as 3 years ago, have had great relations with the Turkish government. Uhuru Kenyatta himself held bilateral talks with the Turkish government. Kenya, as they signed an agreement that they would use the TICA, which is the investment or aid arm of the Turkish government. It is called TIKA, to be able to grow their investment in Kenya up to the tune of $100 million over a period of 5 years. So there is an existing relationship with Turkey. Kenya also imports several items from electrical equipment, I think steel and iron. They also import agricultural products, equipment. They also import fertilizer from Turkey. Turkey itself also receives, or Kenya exports to Turkey, tobacco, cereals, grain, edible oils, fruits, and I can't remember the others. But there are several things several trade dealings between Kenya and Turkey. And Turkey is not a small economy. Turkey is the 20th largest economy in the world, and Kenya has existing relations with it. And when you loosely say that somebody is a terrorist, you know, terrorism is not a local crime. It is an international crime. So believe me, if that was so, people like the CIA and so on, who are some of the top security apparatus in the world, would have picked this out. He would have been on the no-fly list. Terrorists are on no-fly list and therefore cannot be able to move.
There's a question I need to raise with you. What does Harun Aidin invest in?
Sorry, what I have done, what I've told you are the facts that I have. All I checked is this person recorded with Investec as Kenya Invest, with whether he's recorded as an investor? The answer is yes. Does Kenya have bilateral trade relations with Turkey? The answer is yes. So I check facts. I'm not listening to the rumors.
His investment interests.
Sorry?
You don't know his investment?
No, I do not know. That would be now intimate.
Okay,
but all you do is when you're flagging somebody, is you check, is he on the no-fly terrorism list in the world? The answer is no. Is he registered with Ken Invest? The answer is yes.
Okay.
Does Kenya have bilateral relationships with Turkey? The answer is yes.
All right.
Does Kenya receive aid from Turkey? Yes. Did Uhuru Kenyatta sign a bilateral agreement? Yes. So this is not a strange...
Just hold on. Let's listen to the Deputy President, because he spoke about how he has been treated in the Jubilee administration of the second term, and his thoughts about if he were to become president.
Mimi sitakubali naibu wangu kuteswa, kudharauliwa na kufanyiwa yale mimi nimefanyiwa kama naibu wa rais. It is not right. It's not fair. And I want to tell you, kuna watu wengi wanasema unajua ni kawaida, ni vile Moi alifanyiwa, ni vile Kibaki alifanyiwa, ni vile. We must stop that nonsense. Yeah. It cannot, it doesn't matter. A wrong thing is a wrong thing, whether it is done 100 or 1,000 times. It will never be right.
No,
just we need to go to Senator Mora, but just to correct something that Honorable Bossy said, that
how much
Turkey...
is the guy invested in Kenya?
Just hold on. We have enough time. you said that Turkey is number 3 in terms of largest economies in the world.
I said 20th. The 20th
okay.
largest economy in the world.
That's fine then. I thought
GDP.
I had that.
Yes.
But Senator Mora, so you listen to the Deputy President, what has gone on over time and the treatment that he says he has been subjected to. Do you think this is something that could have been avoided, bearing in mind what Honorable Maure says was an ambitious deputy president coming to the second term, vis-a-vis the interests of a president who is in his legacy term, so to speak?
Thank you, Sam. I think first, before I come to that question, the issue of Harun Ayudin, let us not criminalize enterprise, and you don't have to have invested in Kenya for you to now say that you are now going to invest in Kenya. Basically, this is a question of trying to show as if the deputy president doesn't have the right to associate with anyone, really. I think you are treating this Turkish investor very harshly, and I think it's just being used as a warning to tell other investors, don't deal with the deputy president. And it's not going to work. And I don't think we are going to make a lot of progress as a country if we think that there are only other people, there are only some people who can do business with Kenya through other people and not others. Let me come to the issue of the deputy president. I want to say hongera sana, Kongole, the deputy president. Because if you had stayed the way we had been told there at State House that you wait for the 4th year, now you would be minced meat. It's good that you went out there to look for your own, support base, because at least now you are a front runner in the presidential race. And I think that was a scheme, because David Morade put it very clearly that in 2016, not even 2017, that the second term of the president it will be a different thing altogether. So these are schemes, and even the ODM knew all along, and Opio and I can confirm here, that if then President Uhuru was to win a second term, it was automatic that then William Ruto would become the president after that. So the scheme of ODM, and I've said this on this show before, was to make sure you disparage the deputy president and alienate him for the presidency. They have succeeded. They had a paper written very well by Peter Wanyande. They have succeeded in doing so. So, I mean, do not criminalize the president's, deputy president's ambitions. President Moi Kibaki formed PNU when he was still in NAC. Uhuru Kenyatta formed TNA when he was still in Kano. Raila Odinga, of course, formed NAC when he was still in Kano, and of course later on LDP and DP. What am I trying to say? These are schemes to win political power. And 1 year to the election, we are being told by the newspapers that the President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President Raila Odinga, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, I beg your pardon, have been having a meeting, it's at some place in Mombasa to plan for this 1 year in power. So I think everybody has an ambition, and everybody must actually be able to scheme through going forward. I think the Deputy President has done very well in terms of coming up with the Hustler Nation narrative to rally Kenyans across the political divide and tribal alliances towards the bottom-up economic model, which, by the way, interestingly, Sam Gituku, is mentioned 18 times in the BBI first report. So I don't know why our political nemesis are criminalizing a term that is actually being used as
as a panacea to our economic and governance woes, really. It is something that we should all embrace. In fact, President Uhuru Kenyatta himself said in 2020 that the economy is going to be built from the bottom up. So basically, I like the fact that the context is shaping up very well, and our press statement last week at Karen clearly framed the context.
But Senator Moro, the question you're talking about is the Deputy President the maker of his own frustrations?
Not at all.
Goes on today?
Not at all, Sam, because it was conceived that way. It was conceived to frustrate him, as I said. It was a very good scheme, to make him, not ineffectual. He has been denied all government functions and services. So when you say that he is the one who abdicated his role, that's not actually the case. There was a scheme, and David Murade said it very openly, that he will be playing as we campaigned for Ruto, but then it became about Uhuru alone, you see. That was very well choreographed. Now, it's not even about President Uhuru, it's about the BBI handshake. It's about Uhuru and Raila. So where is Ruto in this equation? In fact,
Senator Mora, the last time I spoke to you, I think it was in November or October last year, and you were very categorical in saying that Deputy President was responsible for what happened in what was the name, bungled nominations of the Jubilee Party. In fact, you said that you are a victim of that in Ruto nominations for the Jubilee ticket. How come now it has turned and changed for you?
Let me ask you a question. There are no permanent friends or enemies in politics. I can assure you without a doubt.
So has that reality changed?
If Deputy President William Ruto was planning for his own succession in 2022, even me, if I was in a position, I would do exactly that. By the way, I would do exactly that, because by the end of the day, you have to plan for your future. And with the benefit of hindsight, Sam, if he had not done so, if he had not gone to the people, what would be his shield right now?
That's very interesting, because you said you are rigged out, and you're actually here saying that if it was in your place, you'd actually do the same. You rigged yourself out.
There is Isaac Mwaura and there is the Deputy President William Ruto. Please do not confuse the two. Those are two different things.
But I'm speaking to one of them.
No, you're speaking to Isaac Mwaura, but we are discussing the Deputy President, Sam Gituku, about his ambition to become president. Who doesn't place his own men across the table to ensure that they back him up? That's number one. So if Isaac Mwaura was not in the scheme of things, how comes today Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are speaking and they were the nemesis? They are no permanent friends or enemies in politics. That's simple.
Honorable Mwaura is itching to respond, but let me get this finally from you, Senator Mwaura, because it's very interesting that in November, how many months? Is it about 8 or 9 months ago, you told me that you are rigged out from the nominations for the Jubilee ticket, and now you're saying you'd actually do the same regardless of the process?
I am saying...
Don't you think you should have been given fairness like you did in November?
Sam, our political parties are extremely undemocratic. I have been a victim of the same. That is why I have sponsored the political parties primaries bill, to ensure that there is fairness in party nominations. And I hope that bill comes to pass. If that were to be the case, Isaac Mwaura and all of the other people would have a fair chance. However, let's not criminalize anyone who puts across their scheme to ensure that they have people who will back them up. And number three, that there are no permanent friends or enemies in politics. A week in politics is a very long time.
Even if that scheme is rigging like you claimed?
A week in politics is a very long time.
Even if that scheme is rigging like you claimed?
No, I have already answered you 3 times. I've told you, number one, we need a political parties primaries bill for fairness. Number two,
that is not what I'm asking you about. I'm asking you, you are rigged out. How do you know that that the same will not happen to you?
If we have a party primaries bill that ensures fairness in nominations, it will give guarantees to anyone who is running for office of a fair chance. Number two, if you want to put across your people across the political landscape to support your bid, that cannot be criminalized. Number three, a week in politics is a very long time. Let us not criminalize associations and persuasions. Thank you.
All right. If a week is long, then I believe 9 months is very long. Let's listen to the Deputy President having a say about graft, and he feels that his political friends have been targeted before he can listen to Honorable Mwaura.
Na tena watu wengi wanaambiwa, watu hao wengi, lakini unajua usipowachana na Ruto, sisi tutakupangia kesi tukupeleke kotini ya ufisadi. Na watu wengi wamepelekwa, wale wamekuwa kichwa ngumu kama kina Gachagua, kama wangekubali kuachana na mimi hawangekuwa na kesi. Sasa nikuulize, hiyo ndio kupigana na ufisadi? Tunapigana na ufisadi ama ni ujinga? You know? So ndio mimi nataka nikwambie, magavana wengi, wabunge wengi, viongozi wengi, wafanyabiashara wengi wananiambia, bwana Deputy President, sisi tunakuunga mkono, lakini kwa sasa unajua tukionyesha tunakuunga mkono tutawekewa kesi. Kinoti atakuwa kwa ofisi yangu, wale wa EACC watakuwa kwa biashara zetu. Sasa wacha tujifiche kwa sababu tunajua hii ni witch hunt.
Witch hunt. And Honorable More, the Deputy President believes that his political friends are being fought with cases here and there in court. Why?
I actually believe our investigations and the other agencies have been infiltrated. They have been meek. They have been politicized in the sense, many of them wanaambiwa, if you have a small case, you try to get how the judges and the other people can delay your case until 2022. Hii vitu tutatupilia mbali. You know, those are the things that are underlying. And if you look at the cases on corruption, you are caught with documentation and other things. You find them issuing statements over the weekend saying these things are political. Now, which is political when the investigations have been concluded? What you would call in the old days is maybe KRI. They would come to you and they say you have not been paying taxes. They go and come with the documents, but most of the time it was true. But here, I can tell you, all of them is actually a gangland. And they are trying to look for a shield. Now, very, very quickly, what I was trying to respond when the Deputy President was talking, the issue of this investor. You have an investor who has come from Turkey, he comes to Kenya, then he borrows money from 15 billion from our Equity Bank to take it to Uganda. So have you siphoned money out of Kenya to invest in Uganda, or you brought in money from Turkey? The investors that we know of, they actually bring money. They come with their CV, they tell you this is my company, this one, I'm an industrialist, I'm an investor, or I'm an inventor. They come with the big money and invest here. Now this one, we have not found him doing any groundbreaking ceremony for any investment he has brought here. What we have is from the Deputy President himself saying he helped this Turkish guy borrow money from Equity, and they were doing a facility in Uganda, which will employ a lot of hustlers in Uganda, but no other hustlers here. I'm not hearing these people complaining.
Are you sure that some of those are not your words?
No, but this is true.
No. He seems to have very intimate details.
No. That is
about
going to
this.
help
I'm very impressed that you actually know what he's investing.
They have been saying the plant he went to open in Uganda is to employ a lot of Ugandans, not Kenyans. Now, if you really are worried about the Kenyans...
Just hold on. Did the Deputy President say that he's going to help a lot of hustlers in Uganda?
No, I'm not saying he has said.
Yes, exactly.
He's inferring.
I am saying, by virtue of opening that plant in Uganda, it will employ thousands and thousands of Ugandans. In Uganda, not Kenya.
But is it...
And the ones he has been telling here, he is telling them a wheelbarrow is what is very important for you.
Yes.
But when the money comes from our own Equity Bank, it's not meant to help with the people who do wheelbarrows to go into buses.
You've called the people around the Deputy President gangland, but don't you think that there has been deliberate use of quote-unquote force, meaning agencies of government, against the political supporters of the Deputy President, as he alleges? And why now?
Well, I think what I'm trying to explain to you, it is not about the timing. If you look between January and today, how many MPs have been arrested with the story we are talking about? People think they just like propaganda. The MP for Madeira has his problems, which should not be associated with all MPs in Tanga. It is true. But how many of them have been arrested between January and today, and we are 8 months? It's only one. And then you would think that of them have been arrested. It is propaganda they have been driving on.
He says some of his political friends, including governors, have been told that if you are associated with the Deputy President, we are going to take action against you.
I have explained to you, he tells them, hata mkiingia kwa hiyo shida, tutakuwa president next year. So who doesn't know what is happening in the counties? Who doesn't know?
But is it true that agencies are threatening these political friends of the
He should have said which governor. But he didn't say it, but true.
You know, I think there is an example.
So anyway,
all right.
Let me conclude. No. Excuse me. let me conclude. When you see the frustration saying he would not allow a deputy president, his deputy, to be done what he has done, the question I would wish Kenyans to ask themselves, the way the deputy president William Ruto has packaged himself under Uhuru Kenyatta, would he himself the president now, if he were to become president, President William Ruto, would he stand for one day and Deputy William Ruto? Would he stand?
Good question.
Okay, that's a question to him. Let's listen to what the Deputy President said about the division or the divided war against graft. Some fields, he says, have protection. Listen.
Unakuta watu ambao ni wezi na faili yao imefichwa kwa sababu wako na connection na watu fulani na viongozi fulani na wadosi fulani, alafu wao sasa ndio lecturers wakubwa wa kutusomesha vile ya kupigana na ufisadi. Sasa wewe ambaye faili yako umeiba pesa, hata ukaiba ya wagonjwa COVID billionaires, alafu tunaambiwa faili 25 zimepotea. Alafu nyinyi sasa ndio mnatupatia lecture. Oh, surely, that's how we fail as a country.
Honorable Pio, if you had to look at what's going on, just sort of Maureen Maure, you're on mic. Honorable Pio, if the fight against corruption has become so political, and there will be an election next year, so Kenyans might feel that there are certain thieves that will be protected, there are certain thieves that will be pursued. How then shall we win this war, even if we had to have an election every 5 years?
Sam, what we are being treated to by the Deputy President is hubris, if I may call it so. Because, the Deputy President has now moved from lamenting to literally crying. He is crying, really, literally, before the media. But the question you ask yourself, if you say that you've been tormented so much and that no other person should ever face what you have faced as a Deputy President in the future, you should ask yourself, first and foremost, what did your predecessors in that office do when they were being tormented, as you allege? Some of them resigned. They left government because of the frustrations, to go and oppose the government from outside. I've never understood how in politics you can have your cake and eat it. You continue to have your cake and you are eating it. You cannot on the one hand criticize the government from within as opposition, and on the other hand be part of that government. So the Deputy President and his team
even when you've been pushed out, as he alleges?
If you are pushed out, you leave. And if you have no capacity to fight, you leave. But if you can fight, you fight. But we cannot be treated to endless lamentations, endless crying every now and then by a whole Deputy President. That is one. Two, on the issue of corruption. Corruption is corruption. Regardless of whether you are an ally of the Deputy President or you are an ally of the President. Or you are an ally of Opio and I, for instance. What we expect our agencies, investigative agencies, to be doing is to conduct thorough investigations. And then, upon achieving the necessary threshold, take the culprits to court and charge them and have them jailed if possible. Okay? But from where we sit, we do not know. We cannot tell for sure who is corrupt and who is not corrupt until they have been investigated and taken through a process, a due process. Okay. So the DP is out of order to try to defend corrupt individuals outside the process, the legal process. It cannot happen because we don't know what they have stolen, unless for sure he says he knows everything that these guys do. Okay. Lastly, and what Maure said very, very clearly, we are a country that is really, really, really in need of investors, both foreign and local. And in your exalted position as a Deputy President, you come by people who want to invest. And then instead of encouraging them and supporting them by creating an enabling environment for them to invest in the country, you shepherd them out of the country to Uganda. That can only happen if you have got no faith in your own country, or if you are unpatriotic, or if you are pursuing some personal interest in Uganda.
Okay. Honorable Pionde, let me stop you there. We'll continue with this, Honorable Boss, after the break, so don't worry. Because so little is known about Harun Aidin, and the investigations are ongoing. He's been detained since Saturday, I believe, and is expected in court today, so be keeping it here to watch and listen to what happens to him, even as this conversation continues. After the break, we focus on the final year of President Uhuru Kenyatta, what it will be like, and what will be defining, especially as we inch closer and closer to the final 365 days to the election. After the break.